Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one we're looking at captaincy model for game week 17. We'll have a look at the numbers for game week 17, but before that we'll quickly go over game week 16's results. So most of us would have probably captained Palmer or Salah. Both a bit disappointing really, given that they were both very high on the model. We don't usually see players above 7 for expected points, which both of them are, or were, for game week 16, sorry. 3 points and 5 points for Palmer and Salah respectively is a bit disappointing. Maybe some people went for Saka as well, because that seemed like quite a good fixture, albeit Everton defence is quite good, but again, only 3 points. Very disappointing. A few of you may have gone for Isak, as obviously he had an incredible fixture with Leicester at home. The Leicester defence is really poor at the moment, and Newcastle at home are brilliant. Those of you that did go for Isak, obviously you have done brilliantly this week. And to be honest, the model did have returns in it. There was only 4 players out of 10 that didn't return, albeit there's returns like Gordon with just 6 points, Salah with just 5. But apart from that, there were some big ones. So Son, obviously with a 14 pointer, came off at half time as well. So the 82 expected minutes wasn't really on, although that kind of seemed like it was game state. They'd won the game by then, so could quite easily rest Son for the second half. Then obviously Jackson and Solanke 9 and 10 with 9 points and 5 points respectively. Jackson continues to just kind of, well, score goals basically. I mean, the expected minutes can never be that high though, which is the problem. 78 seems about right, because sometimes he does get past the 80-minute mark, sometimes he comes off around 70, 75. It's pretty hard to give him any more than 78, so I think that's probably about right. Solanke, however, does get fantastic minutes. He just seems to not get involved in the goals. If you're like a kind of general Spurs fan, then fine, to be honest. He plays really well in most games, and he's kind of a facilitator for the rest of the attack, which is brilliant if you're a Spurs fan. But for FPL, he does seem to not get involved in the final product of the goal, which is slightly frustrating. But he did grab an assist, so he managed 5 points. And yeah, the likes of Haaland is always up there. He blanked, of course, against Man United, so not ideal. But yeah, not the worst results. The blanks were kind of higher up the table of the captaincy model, which is interesting. The players that were slightly further down did better this week. But anyway, let's get into the game week 17 numbers now. So I've got all but the top 3 on screen now. So going from bottom up, we've got Son with Liverpool at home. I'm kind of surprised he's in this top 10, to be honest. Liverpool are one of the better defences, obviously, this season. And Son's minutes are only 82. That actually could be slightly high, to be honest. I've left it there from the previous week. Obviously, it came off at half-time, but we can't read into that too much. That did seem like it was a game state thing. But yeah, one of the hardest opponents you can have. I'm almost certain that if this was Liverpool away, he wouldn't be in this list. But maybe the fact that it's a home fixture just helps out a little bit. So yeah, he is in 10th. Jared Bowen is in 9th with Brighton at home. Again, Brighton haven't typically been that bad at defence, although they do seem to concede in most games. But statistically, their defence isn't bad. But again, it's a home fixture, and that's probably the reason that Bowen is in this list. And then Mbeumo is at number 8. Nottingham Forest at home. Again, similar situation. Nottingham Forest defence is probably one of the better defences in the league. But yet again, it's a home fixture. We know how good Brentford are at home. We know how good Mbeumo is at home. So it's kind of unsurprising that he's in this list, to be honest. But again, he's down in 8th. Then we have Anthony Gordon. Now his expected minutes are actually kind of tough to predict. He comes off early, kind of randomly. But then again, he'll also just go and play 90 minutes one week. So I haven't got him up at 88 with the likes of Mbeumo, Haaland, Isak. I've got him at 86, same as Saka, because Saka does get the odd early sub as well, so it seems about right. Gordon's got Ipswich away. Obviously, a brilliant fixture. It is an away game. He would be a lot higher if it was a home game, I would imagine, because Newcastle in general are so much better at home this season. So, regardless, it's a good fixture though. Then Saka is quite low in 6th. Again, this was kind of a theme last week. Saka was much lower than I expected him to be last week as well. Given that it was a home game against Everton, albeit Everton defence isn't as bad as it was at the start of the season, it's actually quite a good defence now. But yeah, Saka with Crystal Palace away. If this was a home game, again, I'm certain he'd be higher up this list. But he comes in at number 6. Then Erling Haaland has Aston Villa away. Aston Villa defence is a weird one. The numbers aren't horrific, but again, they seem to just concede all the time, especially after they've played a European game, which is weird. Maybe it's like a fatigue thing from playing on a Thursday night. Well, no, they don't even play on a Thursday night, from playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night to then playing at the weekend. I'm not quite sure what it is, but their defence isn't the best. Again, this is an away game for Haaland, so not potentially the best. But he's in 5th, and then Isak again is in 4th. He is high for the second time in 2 weeks on this list. 88 minutes. Again, Callum Wilson's injured, so he has no real kind of threat to his minutes. The other option would probably be for him to play, or for them to play Gordon up front, but that's not ideal, and they'd probably only do that if they really had to. So I do think Isak gets good minutes all the time he's fit. That's why I've got him at 88 with all the other kind of players that are good for minutes, like Haaland, like Bowen, like Mbeumo. And obviously, same as Gordon, Isak has Ipswich away. Brilliant fixture. Ipswich defence isn't the best, so it's no surprise that Isak is high. Now, the top 3, Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer, Mohamed Salah. The top 2 are no real surprise. What might be a surprise is the gap between them. We'll talk about Fernandes first. So he has Bournemouth at home. Bruno Fernandes and United have been pretty good recently, to be honest. The Bournemouth defence isn't anything to write home about. It's not particularly special. The Bournemouth attack is brilliant, but the Bournemouth defence isn't all that. So I do think this is a good fixture for United and Bruno Fernandes, although I am still slightly surprised that he's up at number 3, but that's where he lies. Then Cole Palmer is at number 2. He has got that Everton fixture. Now we know, as I just mentioned, that Everton aren't the whipping boys that they were at the start of the season. Their defence has got a lot more solid in the last couple of weeks. Last month or so, I suppose, actually. So that's potentially why there's a bit of a gap between Palmer and Salah. And then Salah is obviously top with Tottenham away. The Tottenham defence isn't the best. We know this. It hasn't been the best all the time that Ange has been the manager. He kind of likes to attack first before worrying about the defence. And they've got injuries in defence as well. So I suppose it's not that surprising that Salah is top of this list. And yeah, he's top by 0.53 expected points. So that's the top 10 for this week. If you like the video, do hit like, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.